Hey everyone, it's our final painting in the month of mountain series. So we are going to paint a mountain that I have been inspired by. I've been watching The Hobbit, painting the Misty Mountain. You're going to want to grab some paper, just a couple of colors, blues, a bit of yellow or gamboge, a Payne's gray. Get a nice jar of water. Make sure you tape down the paper really well because this is going to be really wet. It's a really fun, abstracty kind of landscape, and I think you're going to really love it. So let's grab our supplies and we'll start painting. Hey everyone, okay, welcome to one of our final month of mountain painting sessions. So this has been one that I've been playing with. It was inspired as I was watching The Hobbit. Absolutely love the mountains, the Misty Mountain, the Lone Mountain. So just an inspiration for this, we're going to again playing with some different colors. We're going to be incorporating a lot of things that we've learned as we continue to go back into painting flowers, and I've really enjoyed painting some landscapes and painting also with some darker colors. So in this particular one, what I'm really wanting to do is really looking at where you have minimal colors, but really just a spot of light where your eye kind of moves around and the light's illuminating a part of the painting. This is always just really getting that mysterious element, that beautiful element inside. So what we're going to do here is the size of the paper doesn't matter. Really this is about a 5x7-ish, 6x8 possibly. You just want one side, the vertical side, taller. I can't even find my ruler right now. It is around here somewhere. But just get a piece of paper. You'll notice mine has splatters on it because I've been doing a lot of splatter art. So I often use watercolor to protect the original paper, and it gets splatters on it, but it adds a little bit to the texture and the fun of the piece, but it's not necessary. So just grab whatever piece of watercolor paper you have, and what we're going to start with is we are going to start with just a very simple sketch. And then we're going to start doing some painting. And I will point out as well that when you're doing this sketch, what we're going to do is we want to make sure that our mountain, we don't want it right in the middle, right? We want the mountain definitely peeking up. We're going to have a lot of sky. This is inspired by The Hobbit. So if you have a picture of the mountain, perhaps the Misty Mountain, grab that, or just sketch along with me. It's really a mountain that has a very big edge, peeking up even above. It looks like the skyline, right? It is just pointing out, and there might be some other mountains back here. So if you wanted to do, I'm going to just do another mountain back here, but not necessary. And there is some peaks here as it kind of goes down and it trails off. And once again, I have a nice big peak right here. And even thinking to realizing that this mountain is quite jagged, lots of cliffs and whatnot, and we'll be adding those in. Down below here, we have water. So there is there's a bit of water. Down here, I'm actually going to lower this mountain even a little bit more because the sun is really going to pop up. The other thing that we're going to add is some trees in the foreground, not many. And they're all going to be, because the sun is rising, the trees are going to be very, very dark. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to outline the trees right in here. And the reason for that too is that I want to make sure I don't paint over them, which I have a tendency to do if I do not mark them out. So I'm really just going to do an outline of the trees right in front here, and that's what I've got. That's all that I'm going to do as far as those trees go. You'll notice in this painting right here, the trees are a little bit below the mountain. Over in this painting here, I put the trees above the mountain. I'm still probably going to come back and add some detail, some darker, but you can do however you'd like if you have a preference. In this, I want my mountain to be standing up a bit more, and also a lot of sky. We have a lot of sky going on here. Okay, now that we have the sketch going, I've got watercolor. We're going to really be using a lot of blues and a spot of yellow. If you have gamboge, grab that. I'm actually going to start with the gamboge, that yellow, because I want to give it a chance to dry before I start painting the mountain. The biggest problem we're going to run into, potential problem, and I'm going to just start laying that down, is that we may end up blending colors. And I don't want the mountain to end up in the sky, and I don't want my sky to end up in the mountain, right? So I'm going to be really cognizant of that, of letting it, we want the watercolor to do its magic, but we also, again, we don't want it to blend in. We also don't want the blue and the yellow of the sky to mix and turn to green. That's no bueno. I'm going to just dip my brush in water, and without adding any more paint, just so it's a little bit lighter, I'm going to also just move some of that skylight into here. I'm going to add just a hint. If you have a little bit of a pink or an orange, it's not necessary. I'm going to mix it with the gamboge, and I am just going to put a hint in there. It's just going to give us a different shade of that brightness. If you have some lemon yellow or other yellows, use what you have. That'll just give it a really nice pop. I just like the gamboge a lot because it's almost a warm yellow. I'm also going to put a bit of gamboge, I'm going to wash it in our mountain because you can almost see it peeking over the side of the mountain as the sun is coming up. So I'm going to just again add a little bit here and a little bit into our water. Just a little bit. You can see too, I am not painting it completely over. I'm going to move in so you can see that. I am just laying down very gentle washes right in there. I'm going to grab a little bit more water, and again, I'm just going to touch that, and we'll just need to let that dry completely so our water does not turn green. So, okay, I'm going to back up now, and that's great. We've got our beautiful sunrise that's starting to come up. Now what I want to do is I am going to grab some of these blues. So I have phthalo blue, I have an ultramarine blue, I have a cerulean blue, which I probably won't use much. I'm going to be starting out with, and I have Payne's Gray. I don't use a lot of Payne's Gray, but I'll definitely be using quite a bit today to get the really dark, dark, dark night sky that I'm looking for. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start laying down the sky. And you'll notice I'm not painting across. I am not painting side to side. I'm going to also be careful not to touch my yellow. I'm almost painting and looking at the skies. I've been looking at more skies the way that the clouds are moving through them. I'm going to pick up some of the phthalo blue too as I'm talking here. And just looking at the different way that the skies are so active. They're not really flat. And if it's a beautiful clear day, there's no clouds, then perhaps yes, but I see so much variety in the sky. And I was looking at a lot of photographs of different night skies with stars, and the sun is coming up, like in this painting, and just the incredible variety of color in the sky. I'm going to grab some Payne's Gray. I'm going to let that Payne's Gray seep. So I'm really wanting these different blues to dance together and creating a real vibrant looking sky is my goal. Okay, now if you think to yourself it's just too much, let me actually move my paint here. You can always use your paper towel and blot it a little bit. I'm going to go up here with my Payne's Gray because I do want that to be really covering a lot. Moving around right in here. You'll see I'm being careful. I really don't want to go too close to my yellow just yet. We are going to blend it. I'm going to give it just a second more to merge, but let's go ahead and grab some of that blue, and let's also do our water. And the water is going to be quite dark. We're going to leave just a hint of white for the delineation between where the mountain and the lake hits for now. And I'm going to, once again, I'm moving in between that yellow because I don't want it to turn to green. And just moving around it. The darker areas would be where it's deepest, right? So I'm going to also grab some black and moving that all around here as well. And so again, I'm going to go ahead and then let that dry, and we're going to come in and add a little bit more. So let's now go into our mountain. Now in the picture that I have been inspired by, and many of the pictures that you may see with mountains right now, we still have, when they're that high of an elevation, we have a lot of snow on them, right? So the snow is not melted. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab a brown. I've got a brown here, and I'm going to go ahead and I am going to start creating that peak of the mountain and almost outlining it, not quite, but even imagining where I might have the edges, you know, those cliffs that are hanging out, that are jutting out. Mountains are not flat. It's amazing. Once again, it's always amazing as you start to look at details and those things that really make the characteristics that make something stick out and look different from each other. And so many mountains are quite rugged. And I think I mentioned on a previous episode, I have an acquaintance who hiked the ridge of the Lake Tahoe Trail Ridge, where she actually hiked all around those mountains that make up the mountain ridge around Lake Tahoe. It took her about 2 weeks, quite an extensive trail. She was showing me some pictures, and it is so rugged. It was really, really beautiful, though. All right, so we have that in there. That's looking good. This is looking very nice too. I am moving this close to these trees in the foreground that I'll be painting. I'm going to bring this in just a little bit so you can see a little bit closer what I'm doing. I'm actually going to move my blues right over here for a second as I work a little bit more brown into this. I'm going to keep taking my brown and I am going to then start moving it around the mountain where we almost start going up, and it almost looks like it could go around, as if you could walk up and then you'd have to start going up, or walk around and then start going up. So I am going to, once again, you're seeing too that I am not trying to paint in as if we were using crayons or a marker, but I am almost imagining the pathway around the bottom of the mountain. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take some blue. So I am going to go ahead and grab some of the blue that I used in the sky, and I am going to start creating more color up in my mountain over that brown, leaving space for the white as if we have snow, which we do on this mountain. So we're going to pretend there's snow, and then as it gets lower, we're going to fill more of it in. So I've got some blue there. I'm going to pick up some more blue, and once again, laying it down. And then I'm actually going to take my brown and Payne's gray and going to go back over. Now we have this mountain in the background. I'm not going to put any blue on that. I'm going to let that one stay faded. I might add a little bit of Payne's gray, and that'll be that, but that'll be it. So I'm going to take the Payne's gray now, and I am just setting this right on top. This is just one technique. You could mix it in the palette, but I'm wanting the colors to dance together. And I did have a mentor, she said never to mix the paint on the palette. I'm sorry, on the page, but with watercolor, I often do. And then she really worked primarily with acrylics, which is a different style of medium for sure. I'm going to come right over here, just right on this edge, right in here. So note too, there's all sorts of different ways to paint, and it's fun to play and to experiment, right? So again, moving along down here, we are going to need to build this up to fairly dark, because if this is night, you know, we're going to have a lot of different colors and it's going to be really, really dark. So let's go ahead to, I'm going to grab my phthalo blue. I'm actually going to dip this back into my water a bit, getting a little some cool blue here, and then we're going to go back over it with Payne's gray. So moving back in here, I'm going to get some water here, and I'm going to actually start moving this closer now to the yellow, where we can come up to it, but I'm hoping that yellow is dry enough now, I think it is, where it's not going to blend into green, which is what I'm wanting to avoid. So again, moving these colors around using the tip of my brush. Let me peek to make sure you can see that. Yes, okay, I'm going to come back up again. Sorry about that. Moving that through, but you can see too how that color starting to just move around. We really want that sense of that where the mountain is jutting up into the sky, above the sky even, and the sky is reaching down past the mountain. I'm going to get some more blue here into the lake, almost a blending of these colors. I'm going to go ahead and lay down some more dark blue here. You may notice your painting the watercolor paper is starting to buckle. Completely normal. We are putting a lot of color on it and a lot of wetness, so that's okay. What I end up doing is, after I take the tape off at the end, if it's buckling a bit, and I'm just going right around here, and I'll put it under a couple of heavy books. Now, if you notice, like right here, and we're starting to see just a little bit of that water staining, I might come through here and just blot it a bit, and then we'll come back and play and put more paint over it. And so again, very, very carefully, I'm going through. I'm now going to go over here where some of that blue is, that sky and the sun are merging, right? And I'm going to add that right over here. Really thinking too, the darkest area is going to be at the top. Up here, I'm sorry, I've got an alarm going off that I didn't realize. So we grab that, make sure that the Payne's gray is really that dark sky, adding some more black to merge in around in here. And then at the bottom, so then taking that black too, that Payne's gray, and coming down here. And we are absolutely going to let this dry, and then we're going to come back in and we're going to add in some detail. And I'm taking my Payne's gray and almost not quite doing a wash, but almost a wash of moving it all the way through my water here. The yellow has just about dried. And if I do have any sort of green spots, I'll end up coming back and taking care of those. Okay, I'm gonna get right to the edge of my water. I am gonna grab some of my blue. We're gonna just set that down in different areas so it can do its thing. All right, so this is nice. I realize it does look a little bit messy. That is a bit of the intent, even looking right here, depending on how much we're playing with it, right? You're gonna see a certain amount of yellow coming. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna let that sky completely dry now. And I'm gonna go ahead and move on. We're gonna create some more depth right here, and I'm gonna use some of the brown right in here, and I'm just gonna do another layer to create that sense of darkness, as well as that mountain being closer to us than the mountain behind it. So we're also working to creating some depth in the painting. And once again, I'm not trying to paint, right? As far as coloring in, I'm more moving that paint along the edges of the mountain, imagining perhaps a path. I'm gonna take some more brown here. I will go up just a little bit up in here and over on this side. And then finally, as I'm looking at the mountain, I really would like it to get a little bit darker in here. I am going to take a little bit more of that blue and move it in with the brown. And I always think blue and brown together, that especially the ultramarine, they do a really nice job of creating a dark shadowy area. I'm going to move right in here, and then also I'm going to come in between these trees right here, showing, got something on my brush there, showing where the mountain is continuing to come down. Okay, now we're at the place where I am going to stop. I'm going to come on back. I really don't want anything to get any, I don't want it to get any muddy. So I really want to be cognizant of that. And this right here, this actually looks nice. I'll end up, after this dries, we'll probably go through with a little bit more blue and go over that yellow. The yellow right here, the only thing I am going to change is I am not going to add any blue in there. I'm going to go and grab some gamboge. Actually, I'm going to grab a paper towel. I'm going to get the end of the paper towel wet. I'm going to put it in some gamboge, and we're just going to dab it around just a little bit right in there. I didn't want a water stain is what I'm trying to avoid. And then I'm going to just tap in some more yellow right up against the mountain, as if the sun is just about to burst right there. And even here, just a little bit. And this to be, if you want just a hint of pink or orange, mix it up with the gamboge. I would mix that up on your palette so you don't have straight pink. And I am going to just do a hint right there and a hint right there. And then we're going to let this dry. We're going to let this dry. And I'm going to give it a good, I might even give it a couple hours to dry. And then we're going to come back and finish up these trees, add a little bit more detail. But this is our beautiful Lonely Mountain on an early morning. I think it looks really lovely. And I hope too that if you are like me, and a lot of times I'm going more with safe colors or lighter palettes, to go super dark like this feels a little bit nerve-wracking. So I hope you enjoyed this and enjoyed being a little bit more bold with our colors today and in doing this new season of our month of painting mountains. Okay guys, I'll talk to you, well, in just a minute when I come back and finish up this painting. Okay, so we're back. We're finishing up. We have a little bit more light out. It's still overcast, but the sun's kind of hiding. I'm going to just move this camera up a little bit. I'm going to bring this in so you can see it. The painting's now really, really dry. It is the same day on this recording. It's still Saturday, and I'm actually recording here in March 6, 2022. And I'm looking at this, and we definitely have a little bit of water stains in here that I'm going to fix. We're going to add in the trees, and then we're going to do just a little bit of making things look a little bit more detailed. So like you do see in here in this one, I added just some blue just to show almost some sharper edges. I'm going to do that a little bit in here, just adding a little bit of contrasting color, as well as going very lightly around the edge of the mountain here. What I might do too is, let me actually start with that, is creating a little bit more of the sky. I'm going to grab my Payne's Gray. I'm actually just going to mix it with a little bit of blue here with French ultramarine. And then come back over here. Let me set down this palette. And kind of come right behind in here. And let me pull the camera in just a little bit more too, so you can see where I'm going with that. But right back here behind that mountain, I'm going to go ahead and just create that edge of the mountain by bringing that night sky that's turning into the morning, right, with the sun rising right up to it. And because I don't want it to settle there, I am going to add some water, get some more paint, and then bring it up. And I will bring this back up so you can see that again. And again, adding some more water and pulling in that paint to create that beautiful night sky, and not covering the entirety of it with the same color, but moving it around. I'm going to go up here a little bit as well. I'm going to come back with, again, that darker color coming up on the side here. We have some of the splatterings from the previous work I've been doing, and that's actually turning out real nice. I like that. That gives it a little bit of texture. Then moving it around here. We had this mountain that was kind of creeping softly in the back, and I think I'm just going to go ahead with my blue. A little bit of an edge here, an edge here, just poking up, and then we'll do a little bit of brown just to show the mountain back there. I don't quite want that edge quite so hard. I am going to just dab that off. I'm going to grab the brown and just a little bit. I can tell that brown and the yellow, the gamboge, mixed together. So here we go. We're just going to add a little brown right there, and that's lovely. That's exactly what I want. Not covering the whole thing, but a little bit like that. Okay, lovely. Now right over here, I do want to create that edge right up against the mountain. I'm actually going to grab the blue and the brown. Let me actually get some brown, mix it in. I'll come right over here. So we will extend that mountain out a bit. And so we're covering up where it accidentally merged into the sky. And I'm going to take that same color and we're going to bring it down here a bit too. Moving it around the mountain here. I want to darken that up a little bit. So again, if you're thinking too, it always dries lighter. I want to get this a little bit darker, adding in some more brown, adding in some blue, possibly some Payne's gray down where my other areas are. I'm going to move that down here. I am going to grab some blue. We're going to put some blue in here as well in our really big, lovely mountain here. Okay, this is looking nice. I like this. I do want it to be a little bit darker at the bottom, just showing that sense of where everything is coming together. And I am just going to do an uneven line down here, or surrounding the water here and bringing it together. Okay, now I am going to go ahead. I'm going to get my brush wet, and then I'm actually going to tap it off. I don't want it too wet. I want to pick up some paint. I'm actually going to blend the ultramarine and the phthalo blue together. We're going to come to the tip of the mountain, and I am just going to do a couple, almost some ridges right around here, just moving down. I'm going to take the brown. I'm not even going to rinse my brush. I'm going to just dip it in the brown. And then again, going right underneath. And then going down here a bit too. And then that's again just creating some sense of ridges. We're not adding any more yellow because I don't want the colors to blend. Okay, so we have that. And then down here as well, I am just gonna let that water or the color play together, move it around that mountain. Let's go ahead and do our trees. I would grab a thinner brush. So I've been using that size 7, which I love. I'm gonna grab a thinner brush though. I'm gonna grab this one right here. This is a size, where are we, 4. This is a size 4. I'm gonna grab my Payne's gray, and if you wanna mix it with blue, you can. I do want mine to be fairly dark, so I'm gonna use straight Payne's gray, and I'm gonna come over here, and I'm gonna start outlining those trees. And really, it's gonna be pretty dark. If you look at a picture, a photograph of a sunrise, like if it's coming up against the mountain and there's some trees in the foreground, the trees are going to be pretty much, you're just seeing the outline of them, which again, I think for us who really love like floral paintings and we paint like a lot of gardens and still lifes, you know, last week I just was finishing up painting a really fun painting of lemons. We like the light, we like the bright, and playing with the dark can sometimes feel uncomfortable with those really dark colors. So I just encourage you to go ahead and make your trees, just shape them up. We're gonna leave a little bit of white in them. Not too much, but just a little bit. And I am making these almost like Christmas trees. And I am covering up. I'm having them intentionally go over the water because I don't want any light I don't want there to be an outline of white. So that's why wherever I'm actually going over the water, this is why your painting needs to be super dry so we don't get a blend, right? I'm gonna go over here, going into, so that black also is gonna look at, makes that sunrise really pop. We're coming just a little bit here. You can see too, creates a different look, right? Where if we didn't have those trees, we would just have the water and the mountain. So I think this helps to create some depth. And, you know, we have to do it carefully because it can be sometimes, you know, too much can be going on in a painting. This is not that big of a painting. I've got something going on where my paint's repelling off the paper and I'm not sure what that's about, but we're just gonna leave that for now. Okay, so now that I have that Payne's Gray, I am gonna go back, grab my phthalo blue or your ultramarine, it doesn't matter. Mix that with some Payne Gray and go ahead and just drop that into a couple different places. Again, we don't want it to be flat, so I just find putting a bit of a blue in there adds a little bit of color, a little bit of a pop. You really can't you wouldn't say to yourself, gosh, I see blue, but the blue in there, it helps bring in some depth. And also helps to connect with the rest of the painting. Now, if you have any extra paint, I am going to take this, I'm going to go along my line down here. I'm going to just put in some of that dark areas. Again, adding in some detail work, some ridges, maybe some rocks jutting out of the mountain, right? And just again, around the edge, right nearby the water's edge, I'm going to close up that gap where there's white, and I'm going to put that blue black color and bring it in just like that. Okay, leaving in just a little bit of a line, but not too much. I'll take a little bit of this black blue too, and I'm going to put it in the water to show that really dark, deep areas, right? Okay. And we still have some splattering of white, and that's good. We want that there, and some yellow too. That's fine. Okay, lovely. Okay, I'm gonna back this up now, and this is done. I think this is lovely. We have this blue black here that's almost reflective of the sky too. So I think that whole thing just really sings. Hopefully the eye is gonna move around here through the trees and then up around the mountain. It looks really, really lovely. I'm really enjoying this piece. This has been a fun challenge to play with the dark colors. I hope you enjoyed it too. We're actually finishing up this series. We're about to explode into all sorts of floral paintings. I can't wait to show you. But until we meet again, I hope you have a beautiful week. Keep creating in the margins of your life, and I can't wait to see what you create as well. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.